thy name forevermore, forevermore, with all my heart, with all my heart. Teach me thy way, oh Lord.
All right. God bless you all. Let's have a word of prayer as we begin. Father, thank you so much for this opportunity to have our class. And we pray that you will bless us, that we will learn more about our bodies and about the upcoming courses for the school. We pray that you'll work every detail so that the students will learn not just for their own selves, but how they can help others. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, I want to give you all some information before we get into colorectal cancer today. Um, and basically, this is a slide that talks about the Daniel module. Now, um, let me just see something. You know what? I think that, no, that is, okay, hold on a second. Okay, well, let me just say that I probably will pull that one down. Okay, let's start with this one. Okay. All right. So the course that we have in the Torso Holistic Biblical Wellness Institute. So you can remember it as TWIBWI if you just don't want to say all those words. There's a foundation, and we would like as many people as possible to take the foundational courses, even if they choose not to move forward. There are 4 of them, and this serves as the foundation of our school. There's an educator there are educator modules that are courses, okay? And we call them Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Now, when we first did this course, we did the Daniel module. We have since, as we will show you today, even from last week, we've made a decision to increase the number of flowcharts. So it has gone from, I think you all had 7, and for those of you who are new, this was our textbook from the first course, those of you who can see my screen. But we had 36 diseases, 7 flowcharts, and it went very, very well. God has given us a system of learning that teaches you in a fraction of the time, and our goal is to allow that to happen for a fraction of the cost. We will have different levels, educator, um, coach, practitioner, and doctor level certifications. Now, what's going to happen is the way the course is being developed is that we're going to develop all 4 of these before we move on. Okay. So we did Daniel, although we have to increase it, and I'll just share that in a moment as to the additional flowcharts. So the point that you need to know is the modules can be taken in any order. So if you know someone who wants to take the Hananiah module in early January, then they can come in. They don't have to have completed the Daniel. The Daniel has its own set of diseases. The Hananiah module has its own set of diseases. The Mishael module has its own set of diseases, as does the Azariah module. Okay, so anybody could come in at any time. Once these courses are done and they're actually put on a website so people can take them at their own, at their own pace, so to speak, then they can go in and, choose whichever one they want to take first. There is a master level certification as an educator when you get all 4. So we did the Daniel module with not as many flowcharts as we now have. We have the Hananiah module, we have the Mishael module, and the Azariah module. So what's going to happen is I'll show you what's going to happen with the Daniel module, but these are the flowcharts that we have now. So there's a title flow chart, and on the title flow chart, we give you statistics. So you can at a glance know how serious this disease is, how many people it affects, how many people it kills, or whatever the case might be. We have a definition. So you could just go right there with a flow chart and be able to see, oh, this disease, I have a clear concept of that disease with the definition. We're going to add two more flowcharts than you knew about last week. There's an anatomy and a physiology, okay? Just the anatomy and physiology, the essential anatomy and physiology that you need for that disease, okay? So that is two additional flowcharts that weren't mentioned last week. So number five, there is a highlight. That's going to be very effective because you might be in a situation where somebody calls you and you can go to your material. They have a condition and you just need a refresher. You can go to that highlight and get a basic highlight and reminder of what you're dealing with. There are three flow charts, 6, 7, and 8 on disease because most diseases, there's different pathways to that disease. Now, we can't always say every disease has three, but we have designated three flow charts. Now, if there's a disease that just has one pathway, we might just make it such that we just spread it out, the whole process between these three pages. That may happen. Okay, but most of the time, and you've seen with cervical cancer, with osteoporosis, and I believe we dealt with hives, which is called urticaria, that there were different pathways that led to that. So we want to give enough page space for that so that you can have a thorough understanding. There is a page for illustrations. That's a good place to put a QR code where you can go and watch a video or see some website where modern medicine is basically telling you what they know about it, or there's some picture of it, and that's what the illustration page is for. You all know that God has given us as a people a special understanding of disease. We believe it's an effort to get rid of toxins and to correct wrong conditions. And so that's where the ETC comes from. And so we actually will take that disease and show you what toxins or the relationship between the toxins as that need to come out and the relationship between the conditions that need to be corrected. All right. And then we move to 11 and 12, where we deal with the 8 laws of health. And we dealt with only one page of flowchart in the Daniel module, but now we've expanded it to two so that you can get more information there. And that will give you disease, its causes, prevention, and then in number 13, cures. So we usually list lots of different cures. And then we have resources where if you need instructions for those cures, we can make that available to you. We've added a strategy and a protocol. And then what we didn't talk to you about last week is what you should know. So it's a good place to start. It's a good place to go if you want to know what might be on the quiz or the test. What you should know is a good place. So there are now 16 flow charts, and I think we pretty much have covered the gamut in this as we move forward. Now, in the Daniel module, we actually had 36 diseases, but there were only 7 flowcharts for diseases. Because there are now 16, that's actually more than double the amount of flowcharts, amount of information, or spreads it out so that your mind can grasp it faster. Each module will only have 24 diseases, okay, rather than 36. So the 12 extra diseases that were in the Daniel module, we're going to move to the Mishael module, okay? And when we teach the Mishael module, you might see some familiar information if you took the Daniel module, but they will be, the flow charts will be all fleshed out so you have a greater understanding. So there will still be 12 additional diseases in the Mishael module, okay? And then, of course, you have the Azariah module. Now, those of you who took the original course, which we're calling the Daniel module, okay, it's going to be revised. And once we finish Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, we're going to come back. Those of you who took that course, you will get the Daniel module free. Okay. So that you won't have to pay for that. If you want to get the new textbook with extra flowcharts in it, with all the extra flowcharts, we'll have a discounted amount for the purchase of that so that you can have that. But you will not have to pay for that course, even though we're giving you more information. You paid for that module. Okay. All right. So um, basically, hold on. Try to go to Zoom. We're on a class. Do you need some help getting there? Yeah, I'm in the middle of a class. Go ahead and text it to me and I may be able to look at it. Okay. All right. Thanks. Bye. That was one of our former students. I thought the individual was trying to get on the class, so I went on and took the call. All right. So those of you who took it, you'll be able to take the new Daniel module without any charge. And I said the textbook will have a discounted rate so we can, cover that cost, but you don't have to have the updated textbook to take the class. And that's where I wanted to give that's information for that slide. So this is an update somewhat of, we talked about this last week somewhat, but I just want to go over it. So the foundation of this course, which goes all the way up to doctor and specialist levels, will go up to doctor and specialist levels, is the educator course because everybody may not want to continue, but everybody needs the information to be educated. So there's the Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah that you see on your left, and those are the 4 modules. As far as wellness coaching, it requires 2 of the modules on the left plus some additional information, which some of you will get free of charge if you took the first class. That is forthcoming because we want to get these modules out of the way first. All right. And then there is a practitioner level, and it requires 3 educator modules plus a mental health certification, which is being taught in November. Now, I want you all to know, everybody listening, I know some of you, you're not necessarily interested or trying to make a living or whatever, but medical missionaries, we do need to find a way to make a living if we're as we move forward. So that's why we're doing the courses. That's why we're having the certifications, even the certification that's coming as a mental health life coach, lifestyle coach. You would be able to have that certification and help people with that. And that can even be with some compensation. And so all of our courses are designed to help us get the word out, spread the word, and also be able to sustain ourselves by so doing. Okay. Whether that's a lifestyle center or you just have a ministry in your home, or you just go out and help people. All right. So all of that's built in. So the practitioner course requires 3 educator modules, the mental health certification level 1, and there will be some additional courses. When you get to a practitioner and doctor levels, you're doing more things like they need to know basics, some of the things that modern medical professionals know in the area of diagnosis, even though we don't necessarily officially diagnose. You need to be able to recognize more things and be able to just, have a clearer understanding than you would need if you were just an educator or a coach. The same with the doctor level. So there's additional things. There are, for example, medical terminology. They come up with all these long, we call them polysyllabic words, words with many syllables. And what they do basically is they take these Latin roots and they put them together to make, so myo means muscle, cardiac means heart, infarction is a blockage. So a myocardial infarction is a heart attack. Okay, why couldn't they just say heart attack, right? But that's when you read information and you do research, if you can have a basic understanding of some of these medical terms, and it'll just help you a lot. So when we get to the higher levels, there's some additional courses that go along with it. There is a second level of mental health that will be taught by Sister Catherine Matthews, and a person on the doctor level will have to have both of those plus some additional. Now, the beautiful thing is once we get through that, once we get all of that done, we're going to create specialist courses that you don't have to have any level to take. If you just want to come in the door and all you want to do is really learn all that there is to know about diabetes, you can take that. That's totally different than how the world does it. The world would require you to go get an associate degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, doctorate degree, then you specialize. Where we're going to be able to say, hey, coming in the door, or even if you've taken any of these courses, we will give you more detailed information all in one package. That's a specialist course. So that's just going to be ongoing as we move forward. So I hope that this appeals to you. I can tell you that God is in it. He has given us this method of teaching. It has been proven to work. And there's more. I want you all to keep us in prayer. You will notice on our website there is information about a an app. Okay. And we want to be able to do that. The app would allow you to have the flow charts on your phone. Okay. As long as you signed up for that course, those flow charts will be made available to you from the app, and therefore you could use them out in the field. That process, it's going to take no less than $2,000 to $3,000. So if anybody wants to donate toward that, please feel free. Let us know. But we would like to have that available to the people in the near future. So that's that. This is Catherine Matthews, Sister Catherine Matthews, and she came on um, a couple of weeks ago, I believe it was, and she gave us information about the course. She is a good friend of the ministry. She actually took our first course, but she is a medical missionary in her own right on the higher levels of medical missionary work. And she's run a lifestyle center. She knows the body. She knows about diseases, but she is also a social worker, licensed counselor, therapist. I may not be saying it perfectly right, but people come to her for counseling. But she does it. She can teach us how to help people as lifestyle coaches, help mental health, biblical lifestyle coaches, certified from a biblical perspective. And that's why she's teaching this class. So I will tell you, friends, a lot of people, more than you might know, have mental challenges. Lots of stress has done a number, lots of anxiety, lots of depression. And so this is going to give us tools not only for ourselves, but also to help other people. So we are actually working with Sister Catherine. There's going to be a flowchart textbook that goes with her course. Okay. Not going to go through all of this, but this is the curriculum on November 3rd. You had Foundation in Mental Health, Biblical Principles of Wholeness. And then class 2 on that same day is Body, Mind, and Spirit Connection. November 3rd, I may just go ahead and go through it real quickly. Identifying stress, anxiety, and depression symptoms. And then class 4 is going to be on anxiety. Class 5 and 6 on November 17th is parenting and anger management. Class 6, grief, guilt, and shame, how to help people with those issues. November 24, class 7, human development, and then trauma. Class 8, self-worth, negative emotions. Thought stopping is how she names it. And then there is a skipping of December 1st as far as the class. There's some review that you can have time for. And then December 8th, communication, relationships, and divorce. And then class 10, transparency, the battlefield of the mind. And then December 15th is the final classes, abuse, that's physical, mental, emotional, sexual abuse. And then class 12, substance abuse and demonic oppression. I'm sorry, there is another class. It's 14 classes actually. December 22nd, refusing to change, spirituality and health. And then class 14 is ministry and then private practice. And that talks about confidentiality, finances, that type of thing. Again, it is something that you can be compensated for when you help people. Everything God does is win-win, brothers and sisters. Now, you can help a homeless person who can't support themselves, but you get the satisfaction that you help somebody. So that's win-win. Some people can't afford to pay for services that they would pay probably much more for and not even get as much help out in the world. And so we're creating an atmosphere where people can be supported, and that's important. All right. So on December 26th, 27th, and then 29 and 30, she's taking virtual certification meetings by appointment only. In other words, before you're finally certified, she wants to sit down with you, talk with you. You can ask any questions. There's appointments for that. She just needs to know that you have grasped the material prior to certification. We are going to be in January. So that was November. So that's going to go into November, December. In January, we will be starting the next module with 24 diseases with 16 different flow charts for every disease. And this is just showing you the various systems of the body. And we teach you disease, its causes, prevention, and cure. And that's the model that we've been taught that we need to teach. So we have colorful flow charts, hours of professional video. That will include practical video. You'll learn in a fraction of the time for a fraction of the cost. I was looking at a naturopathic course, and it's a 4-year course, and they charge about $30,000 a year. So you're out of $100,000 to become a naturopathic doctor. Now, there are less expensive programs, but I can tell you even those ours are going to be cheaper when we're finally done. The cheapest one I found was like $8,000. But I cannot find one that does not have New Age philosophy. So our program is biblical. It's biblical wellness, not naturopathy. Okay. So again, enjoy as we go through we will be going through the flow charts. I'm not going to be able to do that because of the time. Today, I do have to do some ministry tomorrow, so I have to leave. And by the way, those of you who might be on and didn't catch it this morning, our morning broadcast is canceled tomorrow morning. We have a morning broadcast for those who didn't know, the same Zoom credentials. We're on every morning. It's the worship and wellness broadcast. So please join us at 6 a.m. Eastern time, and we're glad to have you. All right. So again, real quickly, the new courses moving forward will have 16 flowcharts, a lot more that will help you. And we are working on an app. We need probably no less than about $3,000 to be able to get that up and running. But even we want to be able to it'll probably be next year because we want to be able to have the new flow charts in it. So, but just be aware that that is something that will help you be able. We've got requests for this information to be available, like all the flow charts in a digital form. So we can create our own app, but there's just software that we need. So if you feel led, contact us. Colorectal cancer. Now, what I'm going to do with this, I'm not actually going to do what I normally do, which going through a lot of flow charts. I am going to give you some statistics. I'll give you a definition, and then I'm going to just give you a basic cancer presentation that covers every cancer that you can think of. There are some obviously nuances with each cancer, but this will help you. So, as of November 2024, that's this month, um, here are the estimates and statistics of colorectal cancer in the United States. Colorectal cancer represents 7.6 new cases of cancer. So almost not too far from 10% of all new cases are colorectal cancer. It is estimated that there will be 152,810 new cases in 2024 and 53,010 deaths is what they estimate. We're not through with the year yet, so these estimates are based on how many have died and how many probably are dying each month, and they're just doing some calculations. Colorectal cancer represents 8.7% of all cancer deaths. So this is a simple definition. Colorectal cancer occurs when toxins damage the cells of the large intestine. We're going to show you how that process works in a little graphical way. Sugar in the form of glucose enters the cell without oxygen. Fermentation takes place, and then fermentation creates lactic acid, which eventually serves as fuel for the cancer. So I'm going to show you in slides forthcoming today how that the cell wall gets damaged, that keeps the oxygen out, the sugar can still get in, and so the body uses the sugar for energy. In order to do that, it has to ferment the sugar in order to do that. And that leads you with fuel for cancer, which is lactic acid. Okay. A lot of doctors don't know that, although it's right there in information if they wanted to look it up. Okay, so let's go through that right now. You notice that the picture I had, let me see if I can go back to it. I forgot to say something about it. Let's see. Okay, I like to say that if you want to understand cancer, colorectal cancer, any cancer, all you need to know is eggs in a basket of hay. Eggs in a basket of hay. All right. So this looks like an egg, but it's a cell. The cell has a cytoplasm, which you think of as an egg white. It has a nucleus, which we would look at as egg yolk. Okay. And what this is showing is that the minerals, sodium, calcium, and magnesium actually bring in oxygen, and that it is potassium probably working with insulin. I'm not sure how they work together, but that brings in the blood sugar. Okay. All right. And so that's how that takes place. And when that takes place, there's plenty of energy. Okay. Because oxygen and sugar is like fuel and air. As long as it has a spark, it's going to ignite. That's what keeps the engines in our car going. Air intake with oxygen. And so with that spark, it can ignite, and it ignites in the engine and pushes little pistons up and down with a timing belt so that it's timed just right so you don't have this just nicely moves forward. So they've engineered that, but it's nothing but your car is nothing but a piece of equipment that has a bunch of controlled explosions that are taking place because of the air and fuel, which in this case in our cells is glucose, which is blood sugar. When we live a toxic lifestyle, toxins surround the cell and they damage the cell wall. When that happens, you cannot adequately bring in the sodium, the calcium, and the magnesium. However, it does not stop the potassium, which is bringing in the glucose. So you end up with sugar, but not enough oxygen. Okay. And you don't have energy as a result of that because you need fuel, which is the blood sugar, plus um, uh, air intake. Okay. And there's not enough oxygen because the oxygen could not get in. So what ends up happening is that the body converts that sugar into a fuel source called lactate or lactic acid. In order to convert it to a fuel source, the sugar must be fermented. And so that's what actually happens in the cell. The body uses the sugar and ferments it, and it actually turns into alcohol, and that creates lactic acid. Or I should say it turns into lactic acid is what I should say. It is fermentation, but it turns into lactic acid. We just use alcohol as an example. So when you have fermentation, you have very little energy. Okay, it's very important. When you have fermentation, it's very little energy. But the key is lactate, and that's just another form of lactic acid. So that tells you that when you have cancer, you're more acidic, and the cancer even produces more acid, which eventually is circulated back into the cell, particularly if the liver is clogged up. So hence, you have a picture of the liver. That lactate is pumped out. It gets pumped into the liver. The liver converts it or sends it into the bile, and it gets sent out into the feces and you excrete it out. However, if the liver is toxic, the liver is clogged because we eat too much fat, too much protein, that type of thing, then what ends up happening is that it can't process this lactate out and sends it right back into the bloodstream, and then it feeds the cancer. So there's just this circular effect keeping the cells toxic. Lactate has a signaling hormonal property. So basically, it turns cancer on. Okay. It can signal to turn cancer on. When these toxins get into the system, into the cell, they actually alter your DNA. The DNA tells the cell how fast to divide. And when the cell is um, challenged, then it divides and multiplies at will. It's no longer governed by the things that God made to help protect it and govern it. So it's important for us then to have a healthy immune system to fight off the toxins that are getting in, doing the damage in our cell. And so with this altered DNA, as it goes out, it just causes this little fibrin mesh to grow uncontrollably. And that is what formulates the tumor around the core. And it just, the cycle keeps growing and keeps going and keeps going, and we keep growing. And so the issue is toxins. If we can get the toxins out, then the oxygen would get in. It's the toxins that keep that from happening. So now we're going to talk about acid and alkaline a little bit. When you have the too many toxins that are blocking, these toxins are generally acidic toxins. And so plus with the lactate coming out, that's even more acid. Our bodies tend to be more acidic rather than more alkaline. It should be slightly alkaline, okay? But it's not. So we have to pay attention to the liver, and anybody with cancer needs to be taking coffee enemas because that helps flush the lactate out and it actually builds the immune system at the same time. So that's important. We've got to have good circulation and we've got to have good blood, or I should have said we have to have good blood and we have to have good circulation. The Bible says the life of the flesh is in the blood, and it says a sound heart is the life of the flesh. That means a strong heart and good circulation are the um, secret of health. If a person has cancer, try to have them juice 96 ounces a day. That's 3 quarts. The greener the drink, the more effective for cancer. Okay. And so more greens are more helpful. The recovery time is faster. We do recommend molecular hydrogen. What you're looking at is a hydrogen generator that we actually build. And it actually um, takes distilled water and causes the hydrogen to be separated from the oxygen so that you can actually breathe in that hydrogen gas. Has anti-cancer properties. It has a lot of other wonderful properties. As far as fasting, we like people when they come to our wellness retreat to see this video, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. This man didn't put anything solid in his body. He drank juices and water for 60 days, and he cured himself of an incurable autoimmune disease called urticaria. So let's make sure our blood is slightly alkaline, lots of fruits and vegetables. Get that person juicing. Have them drink 3 quarts. When you have colorectal cancer, they can easily go 10 days, even just on juice. That's not hard, but of course, the mind is challenged by it. But the more people will do it, the more that they will be prepared to be free from this disease. There are herbs, Padiaco, chaparral, a small amount of bloodroot. These are in our cancer tumor herbal extract as well as the SCIAC formula. So you have a 10-day juice feast. You have herbal supplements that I just mentioned. Taking a fever bath, a very hot bath. When we say a fever bath, generally speaking, a person doesn't do these on himself or herself, but somebody is there to help them. And you want to drink hydrogenated water or breathe hydrogen gas. You want to use charcoal poultices, particularly if they're on an area where you can see the tumor or whatever might be growing. That helps pull toxins out. Lavender oil massage helps pull toxins out. castor oil packs, molasses, and baking soda. You want to have a plant-based diet with lots of fresh, organic, non-GMO fruits and vegetables. It's worth every penny, brothers and sisters, to get the non-invasive, invasive therapies. This is a picture of a woman lying down, doing a coffee enema, and that's to the left, a enema kit that it's a stainless steel kit, and it works so much better than the hot water bottle bags that we're all accustomed to. So the live free lifestyle, love God, include temperance, vital water, eat healthy, fresh air, rest, exercise, and enjoy sunlight. That live free lifestyle has therapeutic value, and you need to know how to apply it. All right. So at this time, we're going to take maybe a short break and maybe 3 or 4 minutes or so. And what I will do is play a little bit of music, and then we'll come back and answer any questions you all may have. Okay? So. Okay. There we go. Two.
Wonderful, merciful Savior, precious Redeemer and friend. Who would have thought that a lamb could rescue the souls of men? Oh, you rescue the souls of men. Counselor, comforter, keeper, Spirit we long to embrace. You offer hope when our hearts have hopelessly lost our way. Oh, we've hopelessly lost the way. Always hunger for. Oh, our hearts always hunger for. Almighty, infinite Father, hearts always hunger for. You are the one that we praise. You are the one we adore. You give the healing and grace. Our hearts always hunger for. Oh, our hearts always hunger for.
Okay, brothers and sisters, let me just in case you might not want to be recorded, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. So questions, you all can ask any questions you'd like to ask about any of the disease or the courses, and we'll take those at this time.